guys, it's me, Halloween Dan, and today is a rather unanticipated quick little video, or I'm hoping to keep it quite quick, because I want to talk about some new props that have been leaked from Lowe's. Yeah, I should have been anticipating this better than I was. I kind of knew this was happening because, of course, the managers meeting has been taking place, the Lowe's managers meeting. It happens every year, and every year photos and bits of footage and stuff kind of get leaked, and us in the community like to have a little discussion about it. So that's what I'm doing. Let's do this. So before we get too far into the video, I just want to make everyone aware of what's going on here. I have no further information on these products than you do. I have seen the exact same pictures that you may have already seen. I am just giving an opinion.
How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion!
That is what I do. I like Halloween stuff. I give opinions on it. That is what this is. I have no inside information, because the last time I did a video about Lowe's products, actually my first main video of the year, a couple of people were like,
Oh, I hate it when these YouTubers don't have any inside information. They're just giving their opinions.
and it's like, yeah, yeah, that is true. So if you don't want to hear my opinion on these things, then switch off now. Bye. But for those of you who are a teeny tiny little bit interested in hearing what I have to say about these new things, then, well, it's a mixed bag, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Some of you may have seen I posted yesterday, I think it was, where I just sort of said, what's people's opinions on just a few of these pictures? And it was a mixed bag. A lot of people were not impressed, I have to say, which surprised me. I thought there'd be a few things here that people were actually quite excited about. But I'm just going to give my British outsider's opinion on some of these things because I think they're pretty cool. So we're going to start off relatively small, and it's the one thing that I thought people would be really, really excited for, but I've not heard a lot of feedback from, and I think it's a bit disappointing. And that's the hitchhiking ghosts. Now, Lowe's have made a big beeline for the whole Disney side of things. Last year, we had that Headless Knight, who you can see in this picture. The year before, we had the groundskeeper guy, which is interesting. We've got some tombstones and stuff and all that kind of stuff. And this year, they've added the hitchhiking ghost, probably the three most famous characters that the Haunted Mansion has. But again, I don't have the same connection with the Haunted Mansion as some do because I've never actually been. Tell me if I'm wrong. I thought these guys were bigger than this. I thought they were like full-sized guys, right? Am I wrong? Am I right? I'm not sure. And what we've got is these three really tiny little 4-foot guys who they're clearly meant to look like the hitchhiking ghost. And you can see it. It's there. The resemblance is there. But they look very small, quite dweeby, very plasticky, quite cheap. Not at all like the Knight that has a nice matte finish and looks kind of good, though in this picture, he's got a slightly goofy eye look to him, so I'm not sure what's going on there. They look okay, but I personally wouldn't be buying these even if I really liked the Haunted Mansion. But what's your opinion? Then we've got that 4.5-foot light up spider, which actually looks okay in these pictures. I think it looked pretty cool. It's just a shame that it is only 4.5 foot. I would have preferred, obviously, when we thought it was 10 foot. That's amazing. It's okay. It lights up. It's a spider. There's not much more to say. Very plastic looking, but we kind of already knew that. I'm sure it'll sell. It looks pretty good. Okay, anyway, for what this is. Along with the spider, there is also that groundbreaking big skull and hands, which is pretty cool. Again, it's a pretty cool, big version of things we've seen of this ilk before. We've got a lot of groundbreaker type things. Skeletons in particular tend to be the focus of groundbreakers. And this guy, it's just a big version of that. So we've got a great big skull with light up purple eyes, and the sort of nose hole is lit up too. And then two great big skull hands. it's pretty cool. I quite like it. I'd definitely buy it if it was here in the UK and it wasn't too expensive. And then in the background, we've got the clown from last year, but we don't need to talk about him. Then we've got a picture of a whole gaggle of things. So moving away from the Disney corner, we have this sort of collection of props. We've got the big scarecrow. We've got what looked like the groundskeeper guy and also the werewolf and a couple of props from last year. Now, the scarecrow, I find an interesting prop. I don't like the fact it's got a crow on its shoulder. It didn't need that, of course. But it actually looks okay. It looks like a pretty interesting scarecrow prop. It's quite tall. We knew it was about 10 foot. I like the face mold on this. It's hard to judge it from these pictures, to be honest. But it still looks kind of cool. The elements light up. Its outfit looks much better in this picture, although, like I say, the picture's not great. Yeah, so he's pretty cool. The groundskeeper guy, the same question always gets asked. Do we need another groundskeeper? It's just the same thing. It's a guy with a shovel and a lantern. And he's probably got some, I'm looking out across the graveyard. It's going to be them sort of things that he does. And it's okay. It's a pretty good looking groundskeeper guy. But he's not dissimilar from a million others we've already seen. The werewolf, to me, still doesn't look that great. The shirt it's wearing in this picture now, it looks like it's got a ruffed neck, like a ruffled, like, what is this? An Elizabethan werewolf? I don't know what this guy is. Me, I personally still think he's too furry, though I will say he looks better in this image than he did in the original ones we had. I like the light up eyes in this. I'm guessing it's going to do a whole lot of snarling and howling and stuff. It's very large and very imposing, so if you like your werewolves, he's actually not too bad. Then we move on to the Corpse Bride couple. We've got Victor and we've got Emily. And I think it's a bit off the mark. I think a lot of people were secretly quite excited at what Lowe's might do when it came to the Corpse Bride. And the original picture, which, let's face it, was clearly just a picture from the actual movie of Emily in particular, actually made people maybe think that this was going to be a really impressive prop. And it isn't, is it? I mean, it's okay. You can tell it's Emily and Victor. Victor definitely looks fine. But the Emily, yeah, I personally think that Spirit's version is better. The hair is maybe less brightly coloured, so maybe that's a bonus. But I don't know. Personally, I think the face looks a bit off. The dress looks not as good a quality. It's not what I think a lot of people were hoping for when it came to this prop. And it's probably really expensive. I think a prop that some people will like, though, down in the front of this picture is Frankenweenie. Now, I've never seen Frankenweenie, never really had a big response to it. But I know that that's what Frankenweenie looks like. And I'm sure that if you have a haunt that is, I'm going to use the word Tim Burton-esque, that has that kind of vibe, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas, etc., etc., this will probably go down really well in your display. And if you like Frankenweenie, well, there he is. He's a cute little Frankenweenie. You can't go wrong. We've also got a bit of a picture of the DJ. There's not a lot to say about it, except that he's lit up. You can see the lighting on it. It looks pretty cool. We still don't have any movement with this, so we don't actually know what he does. As long as he's not doing anything too outlandish and he's just kind of scratching those decks and bobbing his head maybe a little, you're onto a winner there with that one. Then we've got the clown, which was called the Balloon Dog Clown. And I actually think it looks okay. I know. I'm being positive about a clown. It looks okay. I mean, I'm not a clown guy. I'm a bad judge of them. This one looks creepy. He definitely has a creepy look to him. And he's wearing like old school clown costume. So that's pretty cool. And he's clearly holding this balloon dog, which definitely looks as though it does something. It definitely looks like the mouth of the dog moves somehow. So that'll be interesting to see. Just that animation alone will be quite interesting to see. It doesn't look too bad to me, but I'm not a clown guy, so it's hard for me to judge.
Now it's the balloon. Next thing you know, it's you!
Then another little corner of the display, which I think has its interesting points and its not interesting points. We've got these two little kind of creepy girls down in the front of the horn. No idea what they do, but they're clearly gonna be speaking in a creepy accent, probably a creepy English accent, saying creepy things and being generally creepy. Not my personal vibe, but I know it's some people's. Then we've got this creepy black-eyed, black-haired girl. Is this the girl from The Ring? I don't know. Is she gonna like arch backwards or arch forwards or something? She's sort of posed like she might be a jump scare of some description, so that might be interesting. We've got another clown, again, wearing an old school outfit. It's definitely going to be something like Peekaboo Penny, because we can see that that head has extended up and it's clearly supposed to be screaming. So that's what this is going to be. It's going to be a clown hiding its face behind the hands and then popping up to scare someone. We also have the questionable Plague Doctor, Lady Plague Doctor, that still looks just as terrible to me as it did in those early pictures. But then we've got this weird Victorian guy stood in the corner of the room, which is the jump scare. I know that this is some sort of a jump scare. It leaps forward. It actually looks really good. I like the amount of details this thing has got. It's wearing these really weird sort of little binocular-like glasses. It's holding a watch in one hand. That's obviously, so it's like a Victorian gentleman kind of look, but he's clearly like a zombie of some description. He definitely doesn't look like he's fresh and ready to go. And he's clearly going to jump forward. So he could actually be quite impressive. I actually quite like the look of him. Couple of witches, actually. There's the one we saw pictures of, which is this cauldron stirring witch. It does appear that the actual thing she's stirring the cauldron with is a bone, which was kind of my guess. But other than that, she looks pretty generic, very much like the sort of cauldron stirring witches we've seen a million times over. But then there's this other witch that looks a lot more like Elphaba from Wicked, or at least the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz.
Now die! Die!
She's got that classic black outfit, the green flesh tone. And I'm guessing this is their kind of attempt to get on the back of that train. You know, Wicked has been a massive movie across the world. Let's make a kind of a Wicked Witch type witch. It wouldn't surprise me if she's got that Wicked Witch laugh. And it looks to me as though she too is some sort of a jump scare, because she's got her head tilted down. And my guess is that that head pops up. I don't know, who knows, but it looks like it could be quite interesting. I quite like that witch. One prop that really took my attention and that looks really, really cool. Personally, I think it looks cool anyway, and maybe not everyone will. I have no idea what this guy is called, but he kind of looks like an Invisible Man kind of a prop. So we've got this really cool looking head sculpt of this really zombified ghoul-like creature it's a skeletal creature with the skin sucked onto the bones. It's that sort of look, like all the muscle has withered away and it's left only a thin layer of skin over the top of the bones. It does still have ears and it's still got flesh around the neck. Very, very, very cool detail there on that head alone. And then you've got this kind of cool character wearing what looks to be like part of a tuxedo and a bowler hat. For some reason, it's holding a cauldron. I'm not really sure why. But the interesting thing about this is that a large section of its chest and stomach and legs are missing, as if it's to create some sort of an optical illusion that this guy is semi-transparent, or he's like the Invisible Man, or I don't know exactly what this guy is going to be, but it's a very, very cool effect that they're creating there with this guy. And I have to say, I'm quite excited to see what he is, what he's supposed to be, and what he actually ends up doing. I think he could potentially be quite cool. But the final prop I'm going to talk about now, there's probably a lot more to pick through, to be honest, but I'm going to leave it with this one. And that's the 12-foot vampire, which I think has massively divided opinions. Now, unlike with the Bone Collector last year, seeing these leaked images out of the managers meeting, I think put a lot of people's worries about what that could possibly be to bed. And a lot of people were like, actually, it looks much better than the pictures we saw early on. This actually looks pretty cool now. I quite like this. I'm not sure this Victorian vampire has done that. To be honest, though I like vampires, and though a 12-foot vampire to me, actually I think is a pretty cool concept, it doesn't look that good. Looks very plastic. Like the face, head mold, very shiny plastic. The hands, very shiny plastic. The lantern, very obviously plastic. The costume's not too bad, though it does look rather too see-through for my liking. You can practically see lights shining through it. And it does look as though it's going to talk, and I'm going to guess the eyes do the slight movement thing, a lot like the Bone Collector did, because you've got those lines down the side of the mouth that clearly it's got to say something. I'm just not sure it's actually that good. It's not bad, but it's not great. I don't know. Until we see some actual footage of what this thing does, I'm going to hold full judgment. I'm not going to be too harsh. And I'm not going to be too harsh on any of this stuff. We'll just have to see what it looks like when we've got some real footage, when we've actually seen these things in action. That's when I'm going to make my judgment on how good these things are or are not. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me today. I hope you liked that little thing. And let me know in the comments what you think of these things. Are they for you? Or is it a bit of a thumbs down at this moment in time? Either way, thank you for watching. And I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.